Okay, for this video, since it is Friday, the 13th of October, I'm doing the scariest programming language in the world.
Hold on a second. Really? After this, you're doing this? And it's even called Basic.
Okay, first of all, this is a new series, which is why you are here and not Carl. Second, this series is for old programming languages, and BASIC for the Commodore 64 is the first one that I thought of, which is why that is the topic of today's video. This version of BASIC runs on the Commodore 64, which is a computer that was originally released in 1982. It was produced until 1994, when Commodore filed for bankruptcy. It sold everywhere from 12 to 17 million units, making it the best-selling computer for its time. Oh, and it's still the best-selling computer even in our time, so good job, Commodore 64! The Commodore 64 itself has a keyboard that looks a lot like a modern keyboard, but there are a lot of very obvious differences between them. Let's compare them. But first I need a modern keyboard. Just a sec. First of all, the Commodore 64 keyboard has a more satisfying typing sound. Also, the Commodore 64 keyboard has the special keys in slightly different places. Or completely different places, depending on which key it is. For example, the colon and semicolon keys are separate, and the quotation mark has been moved to Shift 2. Also, the Shift lock key is just a regular-sized key, which I think is better than caps lock being large on the Surface keyboard because, unless you're an angry little kid typing a horribly misspelled YouTube comment, you will never need caps lock turned on ever! Anyway, this keyboard takes some getting used to if you're coming from a modern-day keyboard, but people probably thought the same thing going from the Commodore 64 keyboard to the modern keyboard. Really, none of them are better than the other. Actually, I take that back. The Commodore 64 has a Pi button, so it's the best. The Surface keyboard can go die now. Anyway, I was originally going to record this video from the Commodore 64, but since my capture card decided it didn't want to work today, I'll just use an emulator. The first thing you do when you want to write a line of BASIC code is give it a line number, such as 10. The program runs through each of the lines in order, from 1 until whenever the last line is. The next thing you do is type the command, such as print, followed by any arguments it may have, such as a string. When you type run into the command line, it will obviously run the program. This Hello World program here is very simple, so let's move on to a calculator! But first we need to get rid of this Hello World program, so we type new. To get input from the user, you use the input command. First, you can type a prompt to let their user know what they need to type, since just having a question mark appear isn't very helpful. Next, you type a semicolon, followed by a variable you want to store the input into. If you end a variable with a $sign, it is a string. Otherwise, it is a floating point number. Ending a variable with a % sign will make it an integer, but I won't be talking about that here because I don't want this video to be a repeat of the last one lengthwise. Also, variable names can only be 2 letters long. Using the input command 2 more times, I ask the user for a second number and for the operation. It then does a series of if statements to check whether the user typed a plus, minus, asterisk, or slash for the operation, and then it... Oh no, not goto statements! Because this programming language is old, it uses goto statements to move around the code, meaning it would be easy to get lost while writing your programs. Also, you jump to line numbers, not labels, which would make it even easier to get lost in your code. In order to see all your code in order, you type the list command. And if your code winds up being so long it doesn't fit on one page, you can only show the code between certain line numbers like this. Now you may be asking, why are you using line numbers like 10, 20, and 30? Shouldn't you be using, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? First of all, no. Second of all, no, that's a terrible idea! There is no way to insert another line between 2 already existing lines, so it's good to have extra space just in case something needs to be inserted in later. Once the program figures out which operation you typed, it then jumps to a specific line where the operation is performed and outputted. Then, it jumps to line 300 where the program ends. While this calculator does work, it is completely pointless, since you can just type the print command followed by a calculation, and it will give you the answer. BASIC also has for loops, which means that it's possible to write a 99 bottles of beer program in it.
Wow, you're doing 99 bottles of beer on the wall without being forced to do it. How amazing!
I'm pretty sure you can figure out what a 99 bottles of beer program does without me telling you. So I won't. This program is based off of a for loop, which will repeat all the code between the for and next commands over and over again. A variable, seen here as x, will change each time, increasing by 1 each time until it reaches 99. Inside the loop, we print the number of beers, which is 100 minus x, followed by the phrase, bottles of beer on the wall. In order to add the words after the number without outputting a new line, we use a semicolon. It might seem like the semicolon is a random character to use for this purpose, and that's because it is. Anyway, this program doesn't take too long to load when compared with that 1B Fungi interpreter, but that interpreter runs at the speed of a tectonic plate, so it's a pretty low bar. This program takes about 30 seconds to output all 99 bottles of beer. There are many more basic commands, but in this video, I'll only demonstrate one more command, the poke command.
Poke.
This command allows you to directly edit the memory of the Commodore 64. For example, changing the value of 53281, wow, that's an easy number to remember, will change the color of the background. The value at 53280 is the border color. In this program, the colors are repeatedly changed back and forth, causing a flicker effect. This program is quite useless, but it is still interesting. Wait, no it isn't! Anyway, the poke command can be used for way more things than just changing the colors, but I'm not going to go into that right now. Basic has way more features than this, but since I don't want this video to be like the last one, I think I'll end it here. Also, if you would like me to make a follow-up video to this one in the future, I probably can. Also, leave a comment telling me whether you would like to see more old programming languages, or if you think I should just stick to esoteric ones. Anyway, see you whenever I feel like making another video!